For years, the traditional model of corporate AV has remained unchanged. A typical office setup has an AV rack or credenza in each conference room. Inside the rack will be a codec for video conferencing, a digital signal processor for audio processing and routing, a matrix switcher for video source routing, a control processor, microphones and amps and speakers for overhead audio. And each piece of equipment needs the appropriate point-to-point cabling and terminations. Every conference room across the entire office has one of these AV racks. Once you find a solution that works, you repeat it for every room. Every conference room is its own independent system. Centrally managing and supporting massive amounts of physical hardware is not practical or cost-effective. Or worse, you will not likely know if the system is functional until you have someone in the room to test the equipment. With this architecture, if you want to make changes to a room, you will need to add additional hardware and then reprogram each room by itself. After around 5 years, as the gear ages, the entire system becomes obsolete. To upgrade, you are left with ripping and replacing everything, buying new hardware, and starting entirely from scratch. We believe there is a better way. AV over IP has turned that old model upside down. Thanks to the innovation of a few key companies, the days of thinking about AV in this traditional way are behind us. You can now integrate your conference rooms with a bring-your-own-device experience, allowing users to integrate all equipment from a conference room, microphones, speakers, and video cameras, into their meeting. It doesn't matter if your organization uses Microsoft Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, or BlueJeans, or any other client for that matter. With AV over IP, your office does not have to rely entirely on one specific video conferencing solution. You have the flexibility to meet the diverse needs of your workforce and your clients regardless of platform. In an AV over IP environment, everything is done over a network. Every room in an office is controlled through a single control processor in a centralized network rack. Usually, this would be located in an MDF or IDF. Depending on the installation environment, this can be on its own air-gapped network, part of the organization's existing network, or a hybrid of the two. Instead of using analog inputs and outputs, everything is done digitally, eliminating the need for in-room racks of DSPs, matrix switchers, control processors, and other equipment. Each room still has hardware endpoints like touch panels, cameras, microphone, video encoders and decoders, speakers, etc. But now all of this equipment is cabled back to the network rack over standard Cat6 cable. Once all of the equipment is on the same network, it can be controlled through software using one single control device. This processor controls every aspect of your AV system: audio, video, and control for each room. You can control your basic conference rooms, huddle rooms, all the way up to large divisible conference rooms through a single processor. An AV over IP controller is scalable for a few rooms or several floors. You can control every room through a single processor. Even with fewer pieces of equipment, your AV solution has more capacity and flexibility. Since your AV is now on a single network, most changes in functionality can be made through software. You do not need to change every piece of equipment to upgrade a function. This is also helpful when you want to upgrade equipment like a microphone or a camera. Swap out the endpoint peripheral, make some minor programming changes, and you're up and running. Depending on the AV over IP architecture, the central control processor houses software that can be programmed to monitor your AV network in real time. To accomplish this, the control processor needs access to an internet connection via HTTPS on port 443. Only one device needs a network connection on the corporate network in order to control and manage all AV devices in the office location. With this access, you can monitor and support all your systems from anywhere in the world. Your system can report errors to you or your team via generated emails or Teams chatbots when a piece of equipment goes down. The system will lead you to the error without anyone having to be in the room to track down the source of the issue. You can troubleshoot the systems via software from anywhere. This gives you the ability to monitor systems at an office, regionally, or even global level. You can troubleshoot each aspect of your AV system from an online user interface. Remote, real-time access and monitoring makes your AV system flexible and scalable in ways that offer many benefits for your modern office. You can add rooms to your system without substantial hardware costs. Connect your devices to a network and you have the same capabilities as the other rooms in your office, all with the ability to troubleshoot and resolve problems without needing to physically be in the space. AV over IP gives you the ability to control, maintain, manage, and scale your AV systems in ways that were not previously possible, opening the world to even greater opportunities for collaboration. In future videos, we will begin to break down the concepts in more detail, discussing network security, design opportunities and capabilities, USB AV bridging, system monitoring, and many more topics. Thanks for watching.